Um, it's probably a wise thing to not purchase the property known as 1810 Grant Street, and I'll tell you the following reasons why. There's an ongoing court battle, case number RP 221-20163. The story of the property at 1810 Grant Street is, man lived there for 37 years, Jewish man with his Filipino girlfriend. They own the property as tenants in common. He left the house in 2011, gets terminal cancer in 2014, not expected to live, but lived 6 years, gets back possession of the property a year before he dies. He wrote a trust a year before he died that said that his daughters, who did not see him once in the entire 6 years before he died, even though he raised them from birth, so he decided that they could still get only 25% of his half, nothing else. And he made it extremely clear in both trusts. He wrote one trust a year before he died, and then supposedly he wrote a second trust just a mere weeks before he died, when he was already in a coma like the last 6 months of his life. So supposedly he wrote a trust when he was in a coma. That's a new one. But both of them said they could only get a quarter of his half no matter what. Well, the trustee, Yehuda Ferris, who's been in Berkeley 45 years as a Hasidic rabbi, and his wife, who owns a gigantic real estate empire, Miriam Ferris. She's all over the place on Airbnb, renting out rooms for $400 a day. They've been wanting to sell the house since he was diagnosed more than 10 years ago. So they sold the property for $82,000 without asking the court's permission, without asking the other beneficiaries' permission. Who are the other beneficiaries? The man's 3 elderly siblings who are poor, and he wanted to leave the property to them. So the first trust gives them a quarter of his half. The second trust, written in a coma, says $90,000 to each, combined to the siblings, and a lien would be placed on the property at 10% interest a year until paid in full. But what did the trustee do in his greed? He sold it out of the trust for $82,000 to the daughters without the court's permission, without the beneficiary's permission. So now they're in court, and the trust court will reverse the transfer, give it back to the trust, give it back to the siblings, and whoever buys a house might not be too lucky, and they should know about this. It's like having 15 Liz Pendens.